Mike said, I have limitations that I have to learn to understand and accept. To have a mentor to help me acknowledge them, yet challenge me to work with them to get to the core of my uniqueness as a dancer. And Mike met Cabrini in a Creek-Larn research lab last year, and I saw them work together, and they just had kind of an instant connection, and I really saw how Cabrini brought things out in Mike that I hadn't seen in him before as a performer in his work with Creek-Larn. And so I suggested to Mike that he might want to do a research project with her. So with the support of Creek-Larn, we made it happen. One of the things that Mike says is, while choreography remained the same, my connection became deeper, resulting in a clearer, more profound performance. I'm astutely aware that my medical disposition affects my ability to dance as flowingly as my mind would like me to. I'm also aware that trust is an issue for me, and recognize these as timely and key investigations to develop my artistic practice. So I'm going to let Mike and Cabrini take it from here, and yeah, let's give them a round of applause.
Okay, hi everybody, and thank you for coming. We're going to start, we just want to share a little bit of how we worked, and we used a lot of theatre games and exercises and made up ones and all different techniques. So Mike last night sent me an email, and he outlined, because one of our jobs was to create a journal of the whole process over the 60 hours. So most of that is Mike's own language, actually filling the journal, as he, in one way, kind of gets mixed up and thrown inside out as the performer he was. I started calling Bursary Ye Lad Ecoos, because it's Mike Daly backwards and inside out. And it did come to a point at one stage in Mike where he didn't know what his body was anymore as a performer, and then I knew we were there, because we had to break everything down so the instinctive mover, dancer, performer comes through. So I was delighted last night to receive an email from Mike with this dictionary of language, that his definitions of what he's learned through the process. So I'm going to give 3 of them, and I challenged Mike this morning to show me an example of each one. So off the cuff, the first one is transition. I learned to think of ways to connect one movement into another. In improv, it was a learning process of flowing the movement without breaking the connection of contact. Okay? Here. Strings. Imagining invisible strings helped me to make my movement large or small. For example, the dance became puppeteer and the body was manipulated by invisible strings. And the final one I'm going to ask you to show is pivoting. I learned to pivot in movement by broadening my stance, to transition from one movement, whether it was with one of my aids, the wheelchair, the cane or the rollator, or in the future with the dance partner. Okay, so we're going to show a little sequence that we developed. We developed a few little sequences to actually show all the different skills. So when Mike finishes the burst they're actually embodied. He has some reference point of, God, what would I have done back then? So I just thought it was important that we actually try and put them together as a little piece. So this one is a fluid exploration, fluidity in the body. And the way I set it up was, I gave Mike 5 points in the piece that he has to do. And in between those 5 different points, it's up to him as a dancer, as a performer, how he moves fluidly from one to the next. mic. Okay. So the next one, we started looking at like staccato movement, short, sharp, fast, angular movement. And we worked with the cane, which actually we started using the name the gear stick. Because Mike actually started discovering if the cane was in one hand, he'd move a flowing way, or a different way too if the cane was in the other hand. And it was really interesting. And then just by playing with stance as well, you can tell about yourself later how your stance was, and then you adopted a new stance and dance. Do you want to? Yeah, go for it. Sure.
I noticed that when my stance was here, but when I made a movement, I lost my stance or my control as I wished to have been. I was thought to take a wider stance, and I noticed that with the wider stance, my range could go further, and I had full control, and I don't feel unbalanced. I will no longer go from this. I will in full control.
Mikey? So I'll just give the words I gave last night as your dictionary. Gear stick. Imagining my cane to help me make my movement sharp, fast, and rigid. The cane being solid lets me have more control over the movement, just as it should. Fear. He also said he learned about fear, to know that fear is neither wrong nor right in movement. Mistakes are a learning process. And stance. During the bursary, I learned to widen my stance, making my body more grounded and less unbalanced, which made my movement stronger and more of a range of movement as I experienced with my last performance. I'm only repeating what you said, but there you go. Yeah, wonderful. So the next little piece we're doing is inspired by Pina Bausch, and people who might know Pina, for my young daughters here might know this, but she was a German dancer, choreographer, and she worked in dance theatre as opposed to just pure dance. So we looked into some of Pina's work to see could we get some inspiration, and he took off. So I'll take this away from you, and we have a little bit of music with this.
Over. We are like the wind, wrapped in the space. We make a road for a skirt to pass over, for a skirt to pass over.
Actioning was the next thing. Stanislavski is a Russian playwright, and you probably know Daniel Day-Lewis as a method actor. And one of that would have come from Stanislavski's work. There's a few little things we use from Stanislavski's work that actually really suit Mike, that we both feel. And one is what we call action words. I'll try to explain it in Mike's words. Action word. Movement through an action word broadened my movement. For example, cattle prod. If I asked Mike to imagine that a cattle prod was moving through him, it was quite interesting if I said, imagine she's jerking you. And we tried, she's jerking you, she jolts you. No. The correct movement for Mike wasn't coming through. But when I said she cattle prods you, it made a completely different, the correct core kind of movement for him. So it causes my body to imagine the impact of that prod, making the movement sudden and explosive. Another thing Mike pointed out was trust. He feels he's learned to listen internally to what his body needs and know his limitations, and to go with his internal instincts as he's working or playing, and that the best kind of piece comes from that. And breathing. I learned to breathe into movement and out of it into contact, taking the breath, slowing the movement ever so slightly, keeping my body in tempo, giving me time to pace myself, whether the movement was large or small. So I'm going to show you all that now. And we're going to do it. I'll actually be speaking the actions of the piece, as Mike actually shows the piece. At the end of the day, my part could be taken out and it just stand as itself, but we'll do it this way. I'm just going to sit here. She stifles me. She holds me prisoner in my own body. I seek to escape. She pulls me out. I scooch away from her. to the right. She categorizes me. I regain my composure. She magnetizes me back. Oh, I find my core. I plant deeply. I tattoo the earth. I grow my legs like tree trunks. I move the fire in my hips. I expand the waters in my chest. I allow the wind to lift my arms, and I pass my sword of truth, and I go through the bullshit of it all. I rebirth as thunder. I fear. I fall. I ask the spirit of the moon to fill me. I dig the earth to strengthen me. The moon rises me up. The earth drags me down. The moon rises me up. The earth drags me down. We reach outside for your help. You refuse me. I realize I need her. Oh, I realize I need her. I realize reality. She stares at me. Reluctantly, I grab her. She mocks me. She inhibits me. I show her that I inhabit her. She catapults me. I disintegrate. She shames me. She stifles me.
Great.
Okay. You okay? Alright. We'll lighten it up a bit now. I've been observing this man's sense of humour for 60 hours. Yeah. And I love it. And only this morning was I allowed to do what I've been wanting to do for the last, I suppose, 40 hours. I've honoured him with a red nose, even though he's refused me, a theatre clown nose. Not a circus clown nose, a theatre clown nose. And he understands that it's an honour to be awarded one. So this little piece is called Ioka. And the reason there's some kind of Native American connects here is because my kids actually have Native American ancestry. So I just thought it was really interesting. So we've had good fun exploring some of that. So are you ready? Are you too tired? No. Okay. Clean. So we've come to near the end, and the two more important points that might feel picked up were respect. I learned to appreciate that my body, the instrument of the dance, and to take it that after a hard day and to thank it after a hard day's work. As before, I would push myself beyond my needs and suffer the consequences later. But now I have learned to listen to my internal voice and not go beyond my needs. And acceptance, which Mike and Stan and Tari would like to speak about later as well. I had a hard time accepting my disability, but over the course of the bursary, I now feel and accept I am a disabled-bodied dancer with the essence of an able-bodied dancer with limitations. That each dancer is unique, whether able or disabled-bodied. We all have our limitations. It's how we express our uniqueness in our movement to stand out as an individual that counts. So the last little piece, you'll have to forgive me, I'll have to set up the music, just give me a sec.
I get good help.
Yeah. Is called Spirit.
what I saw and observed, knowing him through choreographing work with him and dancing in other people's pieces with him. And I also came in for one day and was a dancer with him under Cabrini's direction, so I know a little bit of how they work together. And what's really struck me is how the transitions between things have just become completely seamlessly fluid, and that to me seems to be the thing that you've most kind of worked on and achieved. And Mike's always had like these moments of just beauty as a dancer, like from the moment we first met him in a workshop at the Irish Wheelchair Association. But what's been really interesting in watching this process is how all your transitions are now just completely seamless. And as a contemporary dancer, I find it fascinating that really the core of that has been that you've worked with action words from Stanislavski, and you've worked with qualities from Laban, and you've worked with your own movement vocabulary that you like, stance and what was pivot.
Yeah.
So that you've come up with these kind of words and these concepts to really help you to kind of expand your training as a contemporary dancer, and that's fascinating for me to watch that happen through ideas that are usually used in physical theatre and how they're applied to you as a contemporary dancer. Because your technique as a contemporary dancer has just gone like that over the last 60 hours. And so that's just fascinating, you know, beyond integrated dance, just in contemporary dance, it's really fascinating as an idea that that these kind of physical theatre techniques can be used and applied to training contemporary dancers. Really fascinating. So I'm going to start off with a question, and then if other people have questions too, that would be great. I guess what I'd really love to know is just what you feel you've gotten out of this, and how you feel from the inside you've changed as a dancer through this process.
Well, for the last few months I was really ill, and ill inside my body. And so it was affecting the way I danced, and I knew it did. And I had to get myself back in here, as opposed to up here. And when I started working on the bursary, I questioned a lot about myself, if I was capable of doing something like this. But I felt I hit a place in my life and time in myself where change was needed, and I hungered for it, if that makes sense. And so when I started dancing, I felt like a butterfly, like I was coming out of a cocoon, and each stage I went through, the more I started to grow inside of myself. I no longer felt like, yes, I took direction, but I listened to myself as well, of finding a way of getting there to those points of what they wanted, but not like the old way. I found that listening to the different movements like strings and stance and pivoting, that I was able to get further in my movement. So I felt like I was growing, like the old dancer was slowly just shedding the skins, and I found a new life, a new inner me. And as a dancer, I don't feel like I'm that person anymore. I feel like I found the heart, the core of my dance now. And I am so grateful you have known, Tara, of what this bursary has done for me. I feel now I am ready to fly. You know, I am the phoenix. I am ready. You know, just give me a chance, and I will be there, you know. I'm ready. So
And just a real growing confidence in that too. Like, I think I've seen this with other dancers with disabilities. The thing about Cruiglan is that all the dancers with disabilities have trained through the company, because there isn't really anywhere for people with disabilities to train as contemporary dancers in Ireland yet. sure that will change. And so I've watched dancers come into the company, or people come into the company with disabilities, and there's been this point where suddenly you click into being a professional dancer. And it's really about confidence and ownership. And you know, if you go to a dance school, then you come out at the end of 3 or 4 or 6 years and you kind of know that that's what you are, but I think there's always that moment in curriculum where people really step into that ownership, and you've clearly done that now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is no longer my age, it's my partner. And I have a different respect now to my disability. And it's a learning process. And I know I have my limitations, but it's up to myself how far I want to go. But I also have to honor my instrument. And my instrument is my dance, as my body is my dancer. And this is not just my aid, it's my partner. So there is now a respect there. And acceptance of, yes, I'm disabled, but I also can dance.
Yeah.
So it's neither and neither, it's both.
Yeah. And I know that you suffer from chronic pain, and I'm used to, as a choreographer, really scanning your movement to see the places where I know it will cause pain.
Yes.
And what was really interesting today was I felt like you were doing things that I would usually absolutely not go there as a choreographer with you because it would cause pain.
I take my body not to just before that edge, and I know that if I push myself just that one, just a little bit more, I've gone too far. So like you do the arch on the chair before I arch, and I know that there the pain would just be unbelievable in my back and here of my body by just putting myself, but making it look like the same arch but with my arms more than my body, and making parallel. We do the same movement with more ease, if that makes sense, without pushing myself too far.
So are there questions that other people would like to ask Mike or ask Mike?
Yeah, how do you think you're going to apply this to the performances you've got coming up, or performances you recently did? Did you feel that you applied your new vocabulary movement to your recent performance at
Yes. We had been practiced Rhythm Affairs for a while, and we did Rhythm Affairs recently in Limerick, and I was doing bursary still, and I used some of my techniques that I had learned in Rhythm Affairs, so my dance became larger because I used more heart, so it widened. So I used the same energy from rising from below to come up into the note. Remember the movement into this? I did a DJ style. The legs, arms, rise, and then I was able to explode without exhausting myself. When I stood on my chair, normally my stance was just in between the actual seat. So when I stood on the chair, I felt unbalanced, but I did not want people to see that. And so with the cloth on me, I felt a little out of control and unbalanced. But with the wider stance, I was able to boogie on top of the chair and take it to the next level. So yeah, I found that it totally changed the way I dance in Rhythm Affairs. So yeah, it's awesome.
Great. Anything else anyone would like?
Do you find that the acceptance of fair, or the not judging the fair, that it makes the move is your body's not tense in anticipation, and you actually start to move before you realise, okay, this is the point where it's stopping now, or this is the point where I go on further. Whereas you might have been thinking, well, I can't go there because that's going to cause problems when I get there. Is it the control or the loss of fear or the lack of fear that makes that movement simpler to smooth, or is it more?
Before I had more control, I would push myself, because that's what I thought a dancer actually did, was put themselves, made that movement larger rather than themselves out there. But then I realized that the only person who was affecting was myself. Yes, I was giving what I was asked of me at the dance, but later I was dealing with the repercussions of it. But now I know that I have limitations and I have accepted that. And yes, I will give the same performance, but I will be more careful, more respectful of what I'm doing and not go beyond my limitations. But yeah, it has, I've learned now, and I know now that if I want to continue to dance, I also have to have that respect for my instrument, and I want to dance, and I want to continue, so yeah, thank you.
How's it changed your, or has it at all changed your relationship with the audience?
Yeah, I feel connected with them now. I feel like I could, it's like I'm inviting them into my space and I'm dancing with them, not just for them. And I feel that, I suppose there's an inner me that just wants to grab somebody from the audience and come and dance with me. And yeah, it's a high now. It's like there's joy. And I can see when I look at other people dancing and performing, I can now understand that. And that's why today when I was dancing, I wanted to grab you and say, come in, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. It doesn't seem, you know, because I felt it was important not just to have you watch, but to be a part of. Because I'm growing as a person, not just as a dancer. And I guess I feel really honored that you all came today and shared this special moment with me. And I so respect that more than you realize. Thank you.
Mm. So what I'm hearing is that it's really, it has shifted you out of that fear place that was part of your question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things Mike asked me beforehand is if people would say what they saw in watching him or what they felt in watching him. Anyone who'd like to just share what they saw or felt?
I suppose I've been watching you for some time over working here a lot.
Yeah.
I just think you've really grown in confidence. And my congratulations to you and Cabrini. But as well as that, when I came up here today, and I've been at Sharings as well, and sometimes you just see the work. But that was like a performance, Mike, but as if the wheelchair and the stick were your props. They weren't even partners, it was just, this was a performance.
Wow.
I thought it was fab. Beautiful. Very graceful.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you.
A great stability and a range of a wider use of space. Those are the two things that really shone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I felt that for all your talk of limitations and tiredness and whatever, I think you got stronger all the time. And that's the more you did, the longer the show went on. I thought the stronger steady you were.
Wow. Thank you.
Do you used to watch Mike dance a lot? You danced together a lot.
Yeah.
Mike is also part of Group.
You actually have gone a lot, you are more and more into dancing now. It's like you could do it for longer and longer. Every time you come and dance, you could easily do it nearly the whole day.
I didn't work up to that. I'm still really sitting here. But yeah, I did. But I do know I still get tired and I have to listen. If I don't listen, I know my body will tell me different.
Yeah, you feel like before you feel like when you do it more, I could say you're tired, but now it's like, you can see get tired at this time before, and now it's like, you're not tired, and you go longer without being tired.
Would you consider solo from here? A solo piece now?
I would love if it could become a I would, this to me is just like, you know, molding. You know, it's got bones and I just want to add muscle and tissue and flesh and just make it come alive. Yes, I would love it to become a solo. Yes.
Great.
And also a question, but do you find now that after all some physical exertion, there is a recovery time and a need for recovery time? Is that recovery time lessened now because you're moving for your music?
Well, during the bursary, I noticed that I was getting tired, and I had to ask my body. There's can you stand up and show?
Yeah. Can I show them if you're ready?
Yep. And this is the truth of my body.
Kinesiology test, okay? And that Mike can do for himself. So this is what we use the whole time. So even this morning, we great crack about Hioka, you know, the climbing one, it's very here, it's going to work, or, you know, I said, check with your body, but yeah, in other words, believe me, and don't deny me, you know, will I do the check with your body? So, what we asked was it right?
Yeah.
So you ask a simple question, body, is it right that I did yoga today?
Body, is it right that I did yoga today?
Okay, so that's a very strong yes. So his body rocks forward if it's a yes. And body, I like rat poison.
Body, I like rat poison.
Okay. So the body never lies, but Mike, like every other human being, all the time.
Wear a mask.
Yeah. So it just took out any rubbish about do this, no, do that, fear. And it just went ground into your body, ask your body, and if it's right to do it, if it's not. And we did this for the hours of rehearsing. And
Yeah. How many hours you could rehearse and then you
Yes.
stop?
Yes.
Fantastic.
And then I would commit that I geared up for the day, and we would say, okay, ask your body the truth. Are you ready for a full day? And my body would just say no. And then we say, okay, 5 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours. And then we get down and my body would just react. And when it came to say 4 hours or 3 hours, you could see my body was already coming down, going down. And so my body was being truthful to me and not being truthful to my body.
Yeah.
So it's now my true compass, as I call it.
Yeah.
So I have to, this is my internal clock, listening to my body.
And what did it say about how many hours it could do? Did it change every day or was it kind of?
Yeah, it would, like if I did 4 hours, my body would use up the mass of the energy, but then it would slowly start degrading. And I could not, I was pulling it out of me and I was exhausted.
Yeah.
So we realized that it was best to do 4 or 5 hours, whatever, and stop when my body had enough, and not to go push it any further. And that was respected.
Yeah.
So it was a very good learning process for me, and of course you can use that in your everyday life as well. You know, let's be honest with ourselves, and take off the mask and be truthful.
And did you have times where you worked like 5 days in a row, or did it kind
Never.
No.
But we, in the beginning, because we did try to say to us, like, don't work on our Michael's body will be exhausted. So when Mike realised after he's, no, I really want to try this, you know, and he did, and then he started to realise when he was, you know, it's not working. That's when we introduced the kinesiology test, and then we pulled off a half an hour off that.
Yeah.
before 4 o'clock, say, and it was 10 to 2 after that every time we met. But no, we worked 2 days a week max, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When we first began, it was 2 full long days, and by the 3rd day, I was so ill at home. I was so ill for a good 3 days, and I realized that, all honesty, even though in here I was ready to go for it, my body wasn't. So this is when this was introduced to me, and that's when I had to learn to take responsibility for myself and know my limitations. It'd still be an answer.
Anything else anyone wants to say or ask?
I just noticed a big change in you. As you know, I see you dancing all the time, but I've definitely noticed more power, more energy in fastness and moves as you've been going on.
She's definitely awakened something in me, that's for sure. And
I
appreciate
can't do
it.
that, only you can do that.
Okay,
No, you do it.
You tweaked it then.
It's your body, you're doing it, buddy. Well done.
Great. Any last things anyone would like to say or ask?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and Cabrini, thank you so much for all your work. It's been
My pleasure.
really great to see what you guys have done together. It's obviously been an amazing collaboration, amazing mentorship.
Can I just ask Cabrini?
Sure.
What have you taken?
I was thinking about that last night, and I think there's 2 things, right? Number one, this is the most irrelevant one in one way, but I'm useless at reporting my work. Always have been, always get in trouble for it, don't always have stuff ready to go. So it was really good for me to have to record Mike's journal and videos and all the rest. So I've really got a new skill kind of starting out of that, which is good. And the other thing was, I have mentored before, but not through Nerds Council Bursary. And it was, I lost an actor, years ago, because I had brought him to, if you don't mind me using that phrase, the Ye-Lad Eakin. Mike Daly spelled backwards, Ye-Lad Eakin. I'd got him to that point where he had kind of turned inside out and became very vulnerable. And he was met by 2 fellow actors that night before I was ready to kind of go, right, this is what we're going to do. And he disintegrated. So what was brilliant for me was to be able to go, I know where this is heading, because Mike, I was about to lose him at one stage. But that's the one thing I was really glad of, that I had that past experience of losing something, making that mistake. So I was actually there, ready to go, no, this is what we're doing, and And within a half an hour of me producing one of those scripts 2 weeks ago, or whatever, 3 sessions ago, he had it. Because even though he couldn't figure out or hear what was going on, this had it. So I just said, well, where's the strings? So here's the action, and his body would just immediately go with it. So that's what I've kind of, that's been my journey. I've kind of really learning those 2 things, and I'm really glad, because it's not fun when somebody's muddled, but it's great that we could rock on and get there.
Well, I want to say
Thank
thank you to both of you for making the application and seeing and just for making this happen for me. It's been an awesome experience, and thank you for both mentoring me. Again, you found me and nurtured, and you helped develop, and I'm ready to fly.
Back to Yes.
So, on top of everything for me.
Yes.
And caring. I was totally lost without you.
They're all
You've had my back the whole way, and it's so appreciated. And I want to thank everybody for
And the Arts Council.
And of course, Amy, also the Art Council for making all this happen. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. As part of this bursary, Mike and Cabrini have been making a whole journal, as Cabrini mentioned, and a whole vocabulary of Mike's work. And when I came in today and I saw this really clear folder of information, I thought, firstly, it should go to the Dance Archive at University of Limerick. And secondly, it would be good to get in touch with Arts and Disability Ireland, because as far as I know, it's the first documentation of this kind around dance and disability, and I just think it's really useful work that you've documented and created.
Thank you, Tara.
Very good.
Thanks to the Berkeley Grade.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Doesn't do justice now.